Here's an analogy I love using. This is humongous. You guys ready? Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Check this out. Think about some of the professional athletes that you know that just come in your professional golf athletes, professional basketball athletes, professional football athletes, musicians. Now, tell me, does LeBron James have a coach? He's got multiple coaches. In fact, I just watched a documentary recently that he invests $1 million into his own health.
Wow.
$1 million just into his own health. Wow. So and guess what? And he is arguably one of the greatest basketball players in the history of basketball. If he knows it's a good idea to seek out professional help in these different areas, man, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't we do it? So for us, man, and everybody knows something that I don't know. If I've got an area in my life that I want to get better in, I'm going to find somebody who's better at it than me and ask them questions to help me out in my own journey. Welcome to the EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast. Like most business owners, you already know you need good business and marketing strategies to scale and be profitable. But at some point, you've hit the dreaded wall where you feel stuck and frustrated. EQ for Entrepreneurs is for business owners and leaders who are honest enough to admit that they just might be the ones holding their business back and are brave enough to change that.
We're Noble and Kathy, and every week we're having candid conversations about all things emotional intelligence and how growing that has allowed us to get out of our own way and is radically transforming both our businesses and our personal lives. This is the secret sauce strategy for modern entrepreneurs who are tired of hustling without seeing results and want to grow a business and a life that they love.
What's up, leaders, influencers, and entrepreneurs?
Hi, guys. So we're here with episode 5 today. We are talking about 10 reasons why you might be resisting EQ growth. And again, when we say EQ, we use that interchangeably with emotional intelligence. EQ just means emotional quotient. Same thing. So we use both and they mean the same thing. So what we have found is that a lot of times entrepreneurs, leaders, just people in general, but since y'all are entrepreneurs and leaders, are hesitant to start working on their EQ. And we've got 10 reasons why. So let's just see if any of these relate to you.
Boom. You ready? Number 1, numero uno, is it is no joke hard work, y'all. It is hard work. And that alone can be preventing a lot of people from, man, like, I know I'm going to have to bench press, 1,000 pounds again in their bean at the time. Why would there's other ways I can do PT. There's other ways that I could get my physical training in, so to speak. Or what I have done is, when I see the hard work, I just go with the avoidance route, right? Hey, I haven't had to sweat emotions and feelings for, most of my life. Why should I start now? So hard work is one of those reasons, man. It's because it's no joke. It's a lot of work. It's intense. It's no joke.
And a lot of times we're working already on other areas of our business. We're either working on the marketing or the back end or networking or sales or just figuring out whatever, right? You've got special projects. And so we're putting in hard work other places that adding on one more area to work on just sometimes feels like, I don't know, I can do this.
And a lot of times, what do we default to?
What's easy?
Boom. We default to, well, the easier thing for me to do is work on my marketing versus working on my emotions, right? Because that's, marketing is tangible,
or it's just in my comfort zone. Yeah.
Boom. Comfort zone.
We're going to get to that. So number two.
Yeah, go ahead.
Fear of the unknown. Okay, this is a big one. Especially if you've never done any kind of work looking at your emotions and feelings or looking at yourself. of, okay, where am I? Why am I like this? And what things am I doing that's holding my business back? If you're not used to doing that, it's scary, because here's maybe one of the thought that could be going through your head is, what's going to come up? What am I going to find? It's like, if I start digging, what am I going to unearth? Right? And it could be scary to have to face that. Sometimes it's scary to say, I don't know. I don't want to know that I'm playing small, because if I find out I'm playing small, I'm going to have to challenge that and play bigger. And that can be scary sometimes.
Another thing too, when you're going to figure out some of the origin stories of your emotions and behaviors and stuff, I mean, who wants to dig up skeletons in the closet, right? Who wants to open that door? Nobody. Lottie Dottie, nobody wants to open up that door. So that fear of the unknown, man, what am I going to find on the other side? How deep is this rabbit hole going to go?
And a lot of times, part of the pain or the discomfort behind it is the things that we attach to it, is the guilt that we might carry because of it, is the shame or something that we feel negative about. Well, if I touch that, now I have to deal with the guilt. I've had guilt about that for 10 years, and just the guilt is keeping me away, right? And so I know it can sometimes feel like, okay, there's a lot of baggage here. But if you just call it out and say, okay, well, this is just baggage and I can do this, then it makes it easier. Sometimes just knowing and identifying makes it a lot easier.
That's right. The next one is, who wants to, again, unearth painful events? So, again,
Right.
going back into those origin stories, a lot of things that we've developed are coping mechanisms, survival mechanisms when we were younger, and that can happen throughout our childhood, into adulthood. And who wants to go back and again and have to really go through some of those painful, very significant emotional events and face that stuff?
Yeah.
It's not pleasant. So that's number three.
Yep. Number 4, you might not know the language, right? Did you know that there is a language that goes with emotional intelligence? There's a language, verbiage to feelings and emotions. Just like if you were to go to any new job, let's say you took a new job in IT. Well, guess what? There's going to be a whole bunch of new language that's used in the IT world that you're going to have to learn. Well, it's the same thing here. And what we found a lot of times is, if you don't know the language, that alone can be intimidating. And sometimes it's kind of hard to learn a new language. If you've ever tried, it can be a little bit hard, a little bit challenging. And so sometimes that's a barrier as well.
And just a note of encouragement before we go on to number five, we homeschool our kid with a program called Classical Conversations. And one of the things that we've learned as a result of homeschooling our kid with that program is that there's a Latin term called the trivium, which stands for the three ways or three roads, which represents or reflects our learning styles that everybody goes through, regardless of how you learn, your style of learning, that kind of thing, regardless of how old you are, from kids to adults. We all go through this thing called the trivium of learning, which is the grammar phase, the dialectic phase, and the rhetorical phase. So just know that part of this journey, even listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube channel, jump on the Facebook group, is part of growing. You're in that grammar phase. And then once you start to make the connections of the grammar and start to, okay, this is what emotional intelligence means, and this is what emotions and feelings mean, and this is what, right, all these different things that are a part of the grammar of emotional intelligence, then you can start making connections, right? The dialectic phase, and asking questions and digging deeper, and then at some point get to where you're teaching other people and sharing with other people how you have grown your emotional intelligence. That's just going through that phase. So just knowing. So number 4, again, why you may be resisting growth is you don't know the grammar. Just know that, man, it's a process. It's okay. Give yourself grace and space and patience to go through this journey that is not potentially, but it's uncomfortable. It's awkward. I know, especially as a guy, and a guy who has never delved in this world before. It's been very uncomfortable for me, but the blessing is the freedom that comes on the other side of this emotional growth journey is so worth it. So anyway, that was number
Yeah.
4.
And don't worry, we got you. If you don't have the language yet, we've got an upcoming episode where we talk all about it, and we got some resources that will help you with that. So number 5, he already jumped into it. It's out of your comfort zone, right? It's going to be out of your comfort zone, learning to grow your emotional intelligence and grow your EQ. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's because it's unfamiliar territory. But again, if you can just know that, you say, okay, it's going to be awkward, but here I go. Right? As an entrepreneur and as a leader, you're already doing this. You're already letting yourself step into new arenas. Well, now you just need to do it in this area as well. So just take that same skill.
And cheesy quote alert, you know, a cheesy quote alert is there's no growth that occurs in your comfort zone. So realize that getting out of your comfort zone is part of that growth journey. Now, not that the getting out of your comfort zone, if it causes a tremendous amount of stress and anxiety, well, that's you need to dial it back a little bit. So this is part of the journey of becoming self-aware, of knowing, okay, this is what I can handle in my emotional growth journey at this phase in my life right now.
Yeah.
And even today or this week, maybe next week you can shift into maybe a little bit higher gear, or then the following week you need to shift it, downshift a little bit, go back into second gear, so to speak. So that's another thing too. But just realize that getting out of your comfort zone is part of this journey of growing your emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Number 6 is it takes time to do the work. It takes time. Like you're gonna have to just allocate time. And here's the thing. We're all busy, right? Like busy. Oh, don't even get me started on the busy tangent. Busy is the new whatever. I don't even know what it's called. You talk to somebody, you say, how you doing? What are they going to say? Probably, I'm so busy, or I've been so busy, or things, especially in the entrepreneur world. If you're an innovator, if you're in any kind of leadership, it's just busy, busy, busy. And so we always tend to look at our life and say, well, I'm just so busy. I don't have time to do this. I don't have time to allocate to this. And I would say you don't have time not to, right? I know you're busy doing tasks for your business or for your organization, but tasks will always, okay, you can do a certain amount of things, but if you're doing them from an emotionally unhealthy place, sometimes you're not even doing the right things. And sometimes you're doing them in ways that, again, if you listen to episode 3, you're going to self-sabotage and things like that. So again, it's a commitment to say, I'm going to take the time and create time to do this.
And to piggyback on that, it's a process.
Yep.
Growing your emotional intelligence is not an event.
Right.
It's not, okay, I read this book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and all of a sudden I'm self-aware. Or any of the other myriad of books that are out there in this, in this space, that is surface level stuff. That's helping with the grammar phase, right? Building your grammar phase, your mental file for this, but realize that again, it's going to take time because it is a process and it's not a quick process. We've been on this journey for very intentionally now for basically 3 years now, very, very intentionally reading books every single day, discussions, conversations about this. So it's gonna take time.
And we still are having breakthroughs and aha moments and learning and all of that. Yeah. All right. Number 7, this piggybacks off of number 6. Not only is it going to take time, but number 7 is you're going to have to believe that you're worth taking the time. That you, as a person, as a human being, as a leader, as an influencer, as an entrepreneur, you are worth taking the time and putting the time into doing this. I know sometimes it can feel really selfish. Like, I'm not worthy of all this time and energy and effort. I'm not, there's so many other things that are more important that I could be doing, but no, you are worth it. And this is I don't know, maybe the ultimate form of self-care. I don't know if I could say that. But it's definitely one big way of taking care of you.
And look at it from a business aspect, right? You guys are entrepreneurs, well, but I got to look at the bottom line. I got to look at payroll. I got to look at all the different things that your operating expenses and operations and all the different things that it takes to run and operate your business. But here's the deal: just like in a plane, put your oxygen mask on first before you put on somebody else. Here's the deal: if you take a knee, right? If you personally become, we call it OBE in the military, overcome by events. If you become exhausted, you're putting in how many entrepreneurs, right? 80 hours a week is like
Burnout.
normal, right? But boom, you at some point you get burnt out. Well, again, as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, and you go out, you tap out, the whole business is done. So, you know, listen, you are worth it. You matter.
Yeah.
It's critical to realize you directly impact the bottom line. Even if your business is, you got great staff, you got GMs, you got whoever's running the show, and it's quote unquote autopilot. Listen, still, man, you are, if you have to take the time to invest in yourself. You're one of the best investments. You invest in
Yes.
yourself,
I was just gonna say that.
boom, you're going to add value to other people. Proverbs 27:17 is iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. How sharp is your blade? If you don't take the time, if you don't make the time to invest in you as part of your business asset, it's going to negatively impact every other aspect of your business. But that is another reason of why, again, you may not be pursuing EQ growth because, man, you don't feel like you're worth it.
Yeah. Big, big, big. Okay, number 8 is, what is the story that you're telling yourself about growing your EQ or about growing your emotional intelligence? What story are you telling yourself? Because I'm going to give you 2 examples. I'll use the examples of the 2 of us because we have approached this EQ journey very differently from each other, very differently. And so the way that we've come about it from 2 different ways: fear or fascination. And I'm not saying one is right or one's wrong. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. And you're going to have yours of how you're coming at it. So for me, it's been fascination. Like, I have been fascinated by the journey and by the discoveries along the way and by the breakthroughs and well, really, and how does this work? And tell me about it. Like, it's been a fascinating journey for me. So for me, I've been very excited about diving in. Like, okay, what can I get? What resource can I get? What book can I read? How can I work on this? What can I find? What videos can I watch? What podcasts can I listen to? Like, I've actively sought it out, and I've done a ton of journaling because for me that was my way of processing it all. Like, okay, so I'm taking it in. It's not just about taking it in, it's about, okay, how am I applying this to me, and how am I letting this work on me and change me? So the story that I was telling myself about emotional intelligence and growth is, this is interesting, this is exciting, and this is something that I want to do and that I really want to have affect me in my life.
Here are a couple great mental models based on our different approaches. So, like she just got done explaining, for her, it's been almost like an amusement park. Oh, look at this ride. Oh, look at this ride. Oh, I want to go on this ride. Let's check this
Yes.
out. I want to play this game, whatever. For me, what my experience has been is a haunted house. Okay, walking through dark, scary music. I have no idea what's behind this door. And even when it jumps out, I don't know what I'm looking at. I don't know how to handle it. How do I deal with this thing? Do I shoot it? Do I take it? Do I choke it out? Do I take it down? Do I run? Do I tackle it? You know what I mean? And that's literally been the journey. And we just literally had this conversation recently. She's like, dude, what is the story that you're telling yourself about this emotional journey? Again, we're 3 years into the mix, y'all. This is not like we just started this last week. This 3 years into the mix, and still, I'm like, well, babe, for me, I guess, and I'm an external processor, so when she asks me questions, it's very helpful. That's free tacos right
Free
there.
tacos.
That can help some of you guys out. Internal processors, it's a little tougher to discuss it if they haven't thought about it first. You got to think about it first. Internal processors, external processors, it helps to think about it by discussing it with somebody else. And so, as she was asking me these questions, I'm like, man, I honestly I feel it's scary for me. This journey is scary for me. And she's like, well, why is it scary? I'm like, because I'm still in the grammar phase, and I don't know how to deal with this again with this ghost that jumps out of the haunted house, this particular room. I don't know how to deal with it. So can you see how I've even framed my story as I'm talking about, like, who wants to go to a haunted house, right? I mean, some of you crazy guys do, right? I know. I'm not a haunted house guy at all. And so I don't want to go through my own haunted house, but the fact that I've even framed it as a mental model, as something that is scary, how often you think I want to open that door, go in that house? Never. And so that's where, again, my avoidances come into play. And, so boom, not only do I not know what emotion is going to pop out, I don't know if when the emotion pops out, I'm not even going to know which one it is. Even if I can't identify it, I don't know how to handle it once I do identify it. So that's been some of the reasons for me. Again, the story that I've been telling myself that has been a prohibiting factor in why maybe my emotional journey has taken me so long, or why I'm starting on it, in the middle of my life versus, 10, 15, 20 years ago. So pay attention. But the stories you're telling yourself can absolutely be limiting factors or limiting factors in you wanting to pursue emotional health and fitness, in your journey.
And before we go on to the last two, numbers 9 and 10, I think it's a good place for us to just real quickly talk about, okay, so let me ask you then, Noble, why would you, if you've got it framed right now as a scary haunted house, what benefit, like what outcome? Why would you do this? Like, why would anybody be so crazy as to put themselves into what feels like a haunted house, really scary situation?
Excellent
Like, what's the
question.
motivation?
Excellent question. So that is the default program or default story that came along with my emotions and feelings. It came in a haunted house box.
Right, but what's the motivating factor that's helping you, that's saying, okay, I'm going to do this, though, even though it feels...
Oh, why do I keep going?
Yeah.
Well, so two things. One is I need to change that story.
Yep.
Right. I need to change. I need to look at it from an amusement park perspective, not a haunted house perspective. So number one, but number two is the connections that I have been able to make already in the past 3 years with some of the origin stories and some of the, we haven't even got into childhood emotional neglect stuff, which is a whole nother can of worms that we'll do probably multiple episodes on. So the emotional work that I've already been able to do of making the connections between some of these origin stories and some of my behaviors today, and making those connections, every connection that I make, I get a new breakthrough, a new epiphany, a new revelation, a new, connection that adds another block to my emotional intelligence. And it also removes, every connection I make removes that stress and anxiety point that I didn't even know existed. It's like, when you're overweight, I don't know the weight that is on my spine right now because I've always carried this extra weight around, for an example, right? And so until I start losing weight emotionally, and you can argue physically, it's like, oh man, this feels great being thinner and being fitter, but I didn't know that when I was overweight. So you don't know what it feels like to be emotionally healthy and fit until you start making some of these connections working through some of this stuff. And so because I've had some of those breakthroughs, those connections, man, and I've realized, wow, okay, that's huge. That is why I've been behaving that way. That is I didn't realize I even had a story about this area of my life. And so making those connections has just given me some emotional freedom that now I don't feel as heavy. I literally have become more emotionally healthy and fit. Um,
Which
so
translates not just to our business, our relationship, outlook on life, ability to achieve and win, and like it's touch on every area of our life for both of us.
yeah, that's
So,
exactly right.
yeah.
The number 9 here in things that maybe reasons why you haven't pursued emotional health and fitness, or why you've avoided it is you don't know how. Like I talked about before, when you're in the grammar stage, well, another analogy is jujitsu. Well, you know, as a white belt, I have no idea how to do an arm bar, and so jujitsu can look daunting because there's literally 10,000, 20, 30, 40,000 moves that are possible. It's like looking up Mount Everest. Man, how do I don't even know where to begin. And I've never climbed before. What gear do I need? What resources? What support? What equipment? What route do I take? Right, to navigate this world of emotional intelligence that I've never been aware of before. This is a whole new it's a whole new language, it's a whole new process, it's a whole new journey, right? Everything is new. So again, what a lot of times what happens, right? Fear of the unknown. Man, I don't know how to go about it, so I'm just gonna
Not do it.
I'm not even gonna sweat it. You know what I
And
mean?
that's one of the reasons we started this podcast. And we started this podcast. This is one of the reasons why we create the journal pages for you for these episodes that you can go and download and just start, just start. And we hope to be able to be somebody in your life that we're not telling you what to do, but like we're like, hey, this is a journey we've been on, and here's how we've done it, and maybe we can share a little bit of a roadmap of what it's looked like for us along the way.
And again, we're not psychologists, we're not counselors, we're
We're not certified anything.
we're not certified, we're not professionals in the counseling world, whatever. This is just, again, sharing from our own stories, our own perspectives. But here's the deal: we have absolutely sought out professional help. We've gotten counseling. We absolutely have gotten counseling. For me, I'm huge in this department in terms of, like, if you need help in an area, go get it. There's no shame in the game. Like, there's nobody that's perfect. Everybody is working on something. If you need help, go get it. Many, many people have had tremendous trauma, emotional trauma, mental trauma, physical trauma, PTSD, name it, childhood trauma, childhood emotional neglect. Guys, get professional help if you're experiencing some pretty severe things or consequences in your life. Man, go. I encourage you guys, go. Yes, this can be maybe helpful, hopefully, along your journey, and we love being a part of your emotional intelligence journey, emotional growth journey. But again, seek out professional help. Go find an emotional surgeon, so to speak, right, and a counselor who can really go in and help you really dissect some of those areas that you need help with, which is absolutely fine. I feel like it takes somebody that is more mature to make that decision. Be like, man, I need help. I can't do this on my own. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I've had a rough life. I've had lots of challenges, and I need help navigating and negotiating these obstacles in my life.
For us, we don't view it as it's not a weakness. It's not a point of weakness to
No.
go get help. For us, like, that's the straight. Those are the brave ones. Those are the strong ones. Those are the courageous ones. And those are the ones who typically go on to overcome and go to entirely new levels in their life or in their business because they had the courage to do that.
Here's an analogy I love using. This is humongous. You guys ready? Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? Check this out. Think about this while you're listening to this, you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, the podcast spots. think about some of the professional athletes that you know that just come in your professional golf athletes, professional basketball athletes, professional football athletes, musicians, professional, artists. Now, tell me. So think. Let's use one of them. LeBron James. Does LeBron James have a coach? He's got multiple coaches. In fact, I just watched a documentary recently that he invests $1 million into his own health.
Wow.
$1 million just into his own health.
Wow.
So guess what? And he is arguably one of the greatest basketball players in the history of basketball. If he knows it's a good idea to seek out professional help in these different areas, man, why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't we do it? So for us, man, and everybody knows something that I don't know. If I've got an area in my life that I want to get better in, I'm going to find somebody who's better at it than me and ask them questions to help me out in my own journey.
Yeah. Lastly, number 10, this journey of growing your emotional intelligence. This is, I don't know, one of the big reasons why a lot of people avoid it is because it's personal, it's intimate, it's exposing, and it feels very vulnerable. And those are typically not emotions that most people like to feel. Who's excited about, let me go feel vulnerable and let me face fears and, let me, especially if you've spent a lifetime avoiding that. If you've spent so much time avoiding it, now to go dive into something that makes you feel exposed potentially. And this is why it's so important to know, why are you doing this? Like, what is the benefit that's going to come to you as you tackle this? And we'll talk about all the benefits in upcoming episodes, but it's really important to realize that, yeah, that's going to be a little scary. It's going to be a little vulnerable, but doing that work, you're going to know you so much better. You're going to be able to be in relationships so much better. And the growth that comes from it, you're going to look back and you're going to say, I didn't realize how burdened I was. I didn't realize how chained I was because of these things that I didn't even know were operating in my life.
Here's a huge disclaimer that I want to encourage you guys with too. Some of you all have a natural tendency to be self-critical. Please know the point of this journey is not to become a professional self-critiquer.
Oh no.
And take you down even further for the sake of just self-degradation and self-condemnation. That is, please know, that is absolutely not the point of this stuff. It's gonna feel, and this is honestly how one of the ways that we've kind of felt of how we've known we're doing it right, and just based on a lot of the resources we've read as well, is it's gonna feel like 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And if you're feeling that is a sign. That's a good flag, if you will, a good sign that you are making progress, because you're starting to feel more stuff and feel new stuff, feel different stuff, that kind of thing. And so, but I just want to encourage you guys that the point of this EQ journey is not, oh my goodness, I get to learn new ways to beat myself up and new ways to condemn myself and to degrade myself and demean myself. That is absolutely not the purpose of this journey. The purpose of reflection and journaling and feeling these feelings and emotions is to get freedom. Again, emotional health and fitness and freedom, and to get oxygen, O2, back in your emotional life so that you're not carrying around. I think we use this in one of the earlier episodes, that 800-pound emotional gorilla. So that emotional gorilla that you're carrying around, wondering why you're not performing at your optimal level, that gorilla starts to lose weight.
Yeah.
And now he's 700 pounds and 600 pounds. But again, that journey, think about how long it took to get that emotional gorilla to be 800 pounds. It took maybe 10, 15, 20 years. The journey to get this guy to lose weight, I'm not going to say it's going to take that long. It may, I don't know. It may, that like it's going to depend on your intention, your frequency, your consistency, right, in this journey, your intention, right, all that stuff is going to play into how fast this emotional gorilla loses weight for you to begin to feel some of the positive aspects. But I want to just encourage you guys with that so that you don't feel like, oh man, more stuff to feel bad about, whatever. No,
No.
this is a positive thing. Okay, something else too. So we'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. Again, whether it's YouTube, wherever you're listening to that, to listening and watching this, consuming this content at, we'd love to hear from you. Share which one of these 10 is your biggest reason of why you have not pursued emotional growth. And maybe it's one that's not even on this list. Maybe you've got one that we didn't even think of on here. But we'd love to hear from you. Please comment, please share your thoughts. And also we love it if you would just is this podcast, is this content adding value to you? So if you're listening to the podcast, please let rate us in Apple and let us know how we're doing. But we'd love to hear from you and kind of begin to engage with you. And again, we've got that Facebook group, EQ for Entrepreneurs podcast, where some of this discussion can happen and kind of take place and have some relatability in a community to kind of go with and grow with you guys on this journey.
Yeah, and if you want to, we've created a journal page for this episode. So again, we're big on journaling. So if you would like to print off the journal page with some questions for reflection so that you can get the most out of what we've talked about today, go to eqforentrepreneurs.com/5, the number 5, because this is episode 5. And if you've got a question or a topic that you would like to see us address on an upcoming episode, go to eqforentrepreneurs.com/ask-away, and you can submit a question. We'll get that, and we just might pick you for a future episode. So, and if you found this helpful, please share, refer other people, check it out, give us a review. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we want to add value to you, and we are excited to be a part of your emotional growth, health, and fitness.